Chapter 6 of Mango Delight, The Cold War. I wasn't sure Brooklyn and I could ever be besties again. If we did patch things up, I knew our relationship wouldn't be exactly the same, but I had to try. I had to do my best to apologize for me and especially for Dada, to make his life at work a little easier. It was a nice, breezy, cool morning, the perfect spring day. As I approached Martin Luther King Boulevard, I decided to take a detour and not walk down Brooklyn's Jacaranda shaded street. It would be uber awkward if I ran into her coming out of her house. Principal Lipschultz's office would be a neutral ground where we could have peace talks and hopefully end the war with a friendly settlement. Walking down the street adjacent to Brooks Block, I ran into Isabel Izzy Otero. She was one of my play date friends in preschool and kindergarten, but since then we had gone to different elementary schools and lost touch. Now we were in the same middle school, and though we waved at each other and were friendly acquaintances, we never really took the time to become friends again. I guess it was because I was so busy being besties with Brooklyn. Izzy called out to me as I passed her house. "Hey, Mango! Mango, wait up!" I paused while she ran, huffing and puffing to catch up to me. I'd always liked Izzy. She was a chubby girl with the sweetest round Cupid doll face, and boy, could she talk. Even when we were in kindergarten, she would gab your head off. As she hurried down the path from her house toward me, it made me smile to remember how much that girl loved syrup. One day when we were little, Mom took Izzy and me to IHOP for lunch, and she ordered pancakes and drowned them in so much syrup that it was dripping off the plate. She actually ate her pancakes with a spoon like it was soup. "Oh my goodness, phew, I gotta catch my breath. I don't get to run that much. Mommy says ladies aren't supposed to run. It's the boys who should run to catch up with the ladies." Ain't that crazy? She always talking her crazy old-fashioned talk. Anyway, I guess I take her a little seriously since I don't run as much as I should. And look at you. You be running all the time in that running club of yours. I don't know how you do it, girl. Izzy finally took a breath. "So what's good?" "Oh, nothing much." I knew that if I got started on what was really going on with me, it would be around the school faster than a lice infestation. Not that Izzy was a gossip. It's just that a motor mouth like hers needed fuel to keep pumping. So I threw out a diversion. "You look so cute today." It was true. Her skirt, sweater set, and leggings were always on trend. Since my mom was always counting coins, I didn't get the latest styles. She would only buy from the sale rack. She said, "It doesn't make sense to buy you expensive clothes, Mango. Every year you get taller and your feet get bigger and longer. We go broke keeping you in style." Izzy said, "Thanks. I like what you have on too. It's retro cool." From any other girl, I would have taken that as throwing major shade, but I knew Izzy had a good heart and meant what she said in the best way. I smiled and said, "Really? Thanks." "Totally. Studded jeans were so hot 3 years ago. I knew that style would come back again sooner or later." She took a she took a quick breath and went on. "Did you hear about my brother Enrique? He got accepted into Yale pre-med. That's right, he's going to be a doctor. Hashtag I'm so proud. Hashtag I'm so relieved." "How come?" "Because now that mommy and abuela have got their doctor in the family, the pressure is off me. I can concentrate on being a triple threat superstar." Izzy always wanted to be a star. Even in kindergarten, when we did the winter concert lined up for in our holiday best singing Jingle Bells, Izzy jumped out in front of everyone and started shimmying and shaking and jingling as though we were the bells we were singing about. Of course, all the rest of us watched as the rows of video cameras and camera phones swung in her direction while we were completely upstaged. You couldn't blame her, though. Izzy just had an extra enthusiasm gene. She couldn't help always becoming the center of attention. It was in her DNA. She was one of our school's leading drama nerds. She was so good and funny, everyone looked forward to her coming on stage. Nobody ever booed Isabel Otero. I had to go directly to the principal's office when we walked into school, but I didn't want Izzy to know what was up, so I stopped at the water fountain. Okay, Izzy, see you later, girl. She waved as I bent down to get a drink, but before I could stand, Izzy was back whispering in my ear. Listen, I heard about what happened yesterday, and just so you know, I got your back from kinder to the ender. With that, she patted me on my shoulder twice, headed to her homeroom. I smiled. That was really nice of Izzy. Maybe we still had a bond. I guess I've been too busy hanging out with Brooklyn to notice. Ms. Lipschultz's office was chillier than the freezer of an ice cream truck, and not because the principal was wearing a gray suit to match her frosty gray eyes. It had everything to do with the way Brooklyn and I sat ramrod straight in the low chairs facing the imposing desk. Brooklyn hadn't even turned to glance at me when I entered the room. My chest felt like I was being hugged from behind like by a grizzly bear. Shallow breaths were the best I could take while listening to Miss Lipschultz lay down the law. Whatever happened between you girls is over now. I want no retaliation whatsoever. Do you understand? I nodded, and I guess Brooklyn did too because Miss Lipschultz went on. Trust me, there will come a time when you both look back on this incident and laugh. It may not happen tomorrow or even next week, but I assure you the time will come. Now, Brooklyn, Mango has something to give you and something to say. She turned her frosty gaze on me. Mango? For some reason, the low chairs didn't feel appropriate for what I was about to do, so I stood. Surprisingly, Brooklyn stood up too. We faced each other, the outlaw and the sheriff, ready for a showdown at the OK Corral. I took a deep breath. I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. I didn't mean to ruin your phone. I reached into my backpack, took out her gift-wrapped replacement and the letter. I held one in each hand. This is to make up for your other phone, and this is to explain what I was really feeling and to say how sorry I am. Brooklyn took the gift-wrapped phone out of my right hand and ignored the letter in my left. She turned to Ms. Lipschultz and said, "May I go now?" Miss Lipschultz's eyebrows arched, dropping the temperature of her eyes 50 degrees below freezing. I believe Mango has written you a letter of apology, Brooklyn. Brooklyn fake smiled and said, "Oh yeah, oopsie." Without looking at me once, she took the letter out of my hands with 2 fingers as if it were a tissue I had blown my nose with, turned back to the principal and said, "May I go now? I don't want to be late for homeroom." I could have sworn I saw frost on her breath as Miss Lipschultz said, "You may go." Brooklyn turned and left the room. My cheeks were hot. If I were a white girl, my face would have been as red as a traffic light. As I bent to pick up my backpack, Miss Lipschultz said, "Give her time, Mango. I'm sure she'll come around." I nodded and headed out the door. A part of me wondered if Brooklyn didn't look at me because she felt so bad because of what she wrote about my mother, and because she knew I really didn't throw her phone in the sink on purpose. I decided I would give Brooke the benefit of the doubt until something caught my eye in the wastebasket by the entrance to the general office. There, on top of a bunch of crumpled papers, was my lavender envelope, unopened, unread. Unbelievable. That's the end of that chapter.